This Fanbot phone has screen breakage insurance. The fans have asked us to fix the motherboard. Please help break the screen, then send it back to the address on the business card. After Sales have provided him with screen breakage insurance. Repairing the motherboard is not a big problem. If the screen is broken, take it to After Sales for insurance. Some people wonder if this would be considered insurance fraud. Haha. After opening the phone, we found that the motherboard indeed has obvious water ingress marks. It seems that this time Xiaomi's after-sales detection result is pretty accurate. Luckily, the camera is very clean and hasn't suffered water corrosion. If this huge camera were damaged, it would cost more than 1,000 yuan to replace. Okay, let's clean the motherboard first. A brush stroke took off the corroded small components. Fortunately, this position is responsible for the infrared, and it won't affect the power on. We will continue to clean the entire motherboard. Now let's test it with a power supply meter. There is no leakage on the motherboard, and the power button can turn it on. Honestly, the phones that are transferred from after sales are generally easier to repair. Next, let's clean the main and auxiliary boards. Connect them with the ribbon cable, then install the motherboard into the case. Due to the water ingress, the battery is now in a state of discharge. We'll use a power meter to activate the battery. Many fans have asked how to activate a battery. It's very simple. Set the power meter to 5 volts and then clamp the positive and negative terminals directly on the battery's positive and negative terminals. Push hard and the battery will be quickly activated. Push to a suitable voltage to turn it on. After connecting the battery and pressing the power button, the phone will vibrate, but the screen cannot display. Actually, to this point, our task is basically complete, but we really don't want to break the screen, so we decide to try to fix it. After disconnecting the main and auxiliary boards, we find that the area below is burnt quite severely. We've repaired at least 20 units of Xiaomi 13 Ultra with the same water damage and no display issue. Fans using this phone model should be aware that the waterproof effect is not as good as imagined. Let's first clean the corroded small board. This position is quite severely burnt. It has been scorched, the internal seat of the main and auxiliary board connection. Ribbon cable is burned halfway. We need to remove this internal seat and replace it with a new one. We also need to remove the corresponding internal seat on the small board. You can see corrosion inside from this hole. After removing it, the corrosion underneath is still quite serious. This small one next to it is the internal seat of the screen. We'll take it off too, clean the oxidized and corroded area, and then install it back. Then clean the display circuit. Finally, install the last internal seat. The small board is now processed. Okay, after everything is done, we install the display small board, connect all the ribbon cables, then power on. The Xiaomi startup logo will now appear. The screen's display and touch are all normal. We have repaired another unit with the same water damage issue, tested all the phone functions, and they're mostly normal. Lastly, there is one issue. That's the component that fell from the infrared position. We must replace it. After measuring, we determine it should be a protective diode or a resistor. We can directly short it with a soldering bead. Finally, we install all the parts and successfully rescue another water-damaged Xiaomi 13 Ultra.